Playground Games. You
Yay!
know them from the Forza Horizon series, and man, great racing series. I love it. Their last one was like popping. You know, one of the best racing games out there.
Yeah, it's still used as a benchmark for video cards now.
Yes, 100% correct. That's 100% correct. And to me, in my opinion, I think Forza is becoming a way better, more popular franchise than the Gran Turismo series, hands down.
Yeah,
You know,
it's fresher in people's minds than GT.
yeah, but I just think that with Horizon, they have two series. They have the game that's like Gran Turismo, and then they have the one that was like just have fun, just go off the beaten path. You know,
and they both look beautiful.
Yes, but they're taking a chance on another game that is coming out. Is out of their library. It's the first game that is not a racing game, and that's the Fable series. They're taking in charge of the Fable series, which is very interesting because we saw a trailer of that in 2020, which I don't know why. It felt like 2021 when they showed that, but it was 2020.
Right? Time soup. It's the last couple of years just kind of blurred together in one big chunk.
Yeah, so we saw that, and all the information we know so far is that, one, Fable 3, the last entry, was in 2010. So starting next year, it'll be 13 years since the last one. And I'm not including, and that's not including the VR Connect game. Well, not VR, just the Connect game of Fable Journey, and then the cancel game that shut down the studio, Lionhead. That when they were doing that P versus E thing, yeah, that didn't work out. So rest in peace, Lionhead Studios. But one thing that's interesting is I want your opinion on this. They're going to be using their own engine, the Forza Tech game engine, to run this game. What do you imagine? Do you think is this game really going? It's probably going to run really well because that engine is pretty good for what they're showing. And to see this game, I wonder how, man. I don't know.
One thing I have not seen much of with the Forza Tech engine would be people. I've seen plenty of nature and objects and shadow, ambient occlusion and shadows. Cool, great, it can do that. I want to see. I'm curious about how they're going to do the designs. Are they going to do them similar to how they did Fable 1 through 3? Or are they going to go in a different direction with not super realistic, but kind of stylized realism, you know, because they could. It's interesting if they use the engine right, which obviously they've used this engine for a while, so they know what they're doing. But if it's harnessed right for people, then yeah, it could be another beautiful, tech demo like game.
No, you're absolutely right because they nailed the environments, the environments and almost freaking real, too real for his own good. So for them to try to get creative to the fantasy kind of realm, the vision they have is almost limitless. Sky's the limit of what they want to do. But you're right, the people is the thing because I think the only time you saw people in the game was either their NPCs, either at the finish line crowding for the racers or anything like that. But to draw a community and we don't know how big if this world is. This could be the biggest world than 2 and 3, or even put that together.
And that's the thing, the expectations for Fable. Fable, the original expectations was, this massive living world that didn't even come to fruition until maybe Fable 3, if that.
Yeah.
So so how do they integrate the expectations of Fable, or do they go? Or once again, do they go in a different direction?
I'm curious. I would love to know why did they decided to take a chance on Fable because this is their first RPG game, so it's going to be interesting. You're getting a racing studio to do this game, and I would like to know what made them take control and take the opportunity to try to do this game. Apparently, they might be just Fable lovers in the studio for what it is, but just the fact that they're taking a chance on it. So.
They may not want to be known as just a racing studio either, because I mean, if you're talking about Forza, alternating between Forza and Forza Horizon, it's you know what, we could probably do this other game too, So.
I think it's interesting too because you have it where back in Nintendo when Rare got sold, that Retro had to pick up the Donkey Kong series, and they did a good job with the Donkey Kong series. for what they were doing. Donkey Kong Return and Tropical Freeze for what it is. So, this could be what this could happen here. Maybe now, if this game ends up doing well, Playground could be the Fable Studios now, which that'd be really cool.
Yeah, so. No, and Fable is another thing that's associated with Microsoft and Xbox. So all the better to have more of your recognizable stables.
Because I always imagine Fable's their Zelda in their own way. So like this
their in-house RPG.
Yeah, so this is their chance to really have fun with it and take some risk-changing ideas, with the good and evil system, or if they want to introduce the pet system again, or whatever new implement they're going to do for the modern. And I'm pretty sure the next thing we're going to talk about, I'm pretty sure they're going to be looking to them for a little bit of an influence about it. And that is, we'll talk about them in a second. My question is for you is, will we see another trailer of this game in 2023? I think so, yes. I think.
If they want to keep the hype going, because right now the expectation is 2023 is supposed to be, it's like, hey, y'all bought all these studios in the last, 2019 through 2021. What are we seeing?
Yeah, and especially this will be Xbox's first major adventure game in a very long time, because they haven't shown any really adventure stuff like that, at least wizards and magical stuff like that, in a very, very long time. Everything's everything's been mostly a post-apocalypse per se,
Yeah, and I think that the Western type games and the designs, we tend to, just like movies. Sorry, trying to put something back here. Just like movies, we tend to see an ebb and flow of different genres based on how the people, the country or the world at large is doing. We're in a time of a lot of uncertainty, a lot of uncertainty. So I think we're going to see more lighthearted adventure fare rather than just grimdark. There'll still be grimdark, but there's going to be more of a lighthearted stuff.
Did you play a lot of the Fable titles?
I played all three.
You did play all three? Okay.
I beat 2 and 3, but I did play all 3 of them.
I would say probably people say the first one. I always thought the second was the best out of all 3 of them, in my opinion.
I will say second one was good. The third one, for some reason, felt easier to hop into.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. I just think with the third one, there were some interesting choices that just, I guess, didn't work for me compared to 2. But I did like some ideas I like the twist on some of the surprises that they did in 3, but I think 2 was a good middle ground for it. And I'm not saying this is what they should be aiming for. I was just thinking, as a trilogy, which one of the 3 did I enjoy the most? I think 2 was the most I enjoyed.
Yeah, and the good and evil system, I think they have an opportunity to, play with it a little bit more, because 3, they tried to do that subversion of, I was only doing what was best, what I felt was best for the country. It's like, yeah, but you did it in a really lame, lazy way. I'm going to do it better. And then you just end up, all you have to do is just work harder, and you can provide for the people and provide for the coffers and all that stuff. I hope they take not saying both sides, but there are shades of gray. Good and evil is not black and white. It's shades of gray.
I agree with that, and I think they definitely have to I want them to go a little bit further when it comes to the family thing. You find your girl and you have a kid, and I want them to take that further than more oh, you exist. I accomplished my goal. I'm going to go on my venture, and I'll just come by and say hi. I want that to go.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, I wanted to a little bit go further. Hey, look, what if you don't go home for a while? She leaves you. She takes the kid.
Or she remarries.
I want more consequences like that. Take it further. If you're going to implement this.
Let's go generational. This goes over multiple generations. I mean, hell, Phantasy Star 3 did it. Generations of Doom.
Sure.
Let's go generations.
Sure. Any of those actually work if they just go beyond she just staying at the house the whole time. So I just get a trophy and move on. If I'm going to do a family in this, in this world, and you want me to feel alive, at least show me something here. I don't care if the kid grows up and then he leaves and gets a job or whatever they want to do in Day Cycle, but I want to feel like a consequence of like, if I got married, I want to feel the consequence of being married. If I want to own a house or own a bunch of properties, because that's what it was about Fable, was just not about good and evil. It was about like making a life in this world in your own way, like getting married, buying property for a house, decorating it. Like, let's go further than that. It was almost like, it almost had the Elder Scrolls style, but in their own way, right? Even from like how to date a girl, you have to talk to them through icons and all that kind of crap. So like, I want them to go a little bit further into those.
I mean, you could even have multiple women in different towns.
Sure,
so
be a lecher. That's fine.
Let's see some consequences with that. Let's say you have multiple families in multiple towns. Generations go by. They grow up. Maybe brother fights against brother unwittingly. I want to see more consequences. To what they used to advertise it on. Consequences to your actions, cause and effect. I want to see actual effects.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like if you like decided that you want to like run a bunch of houses, like I was saying before, like there should be consequences of like somebody is not satisfied with the house. You need to do something about it or whatever. Just whatever they're going to do, whatever the things that people like about Fable, I want them to go further, because now we're in a generation where you can take more opportunity to have more fun for what it is. I always felt like Fable was there, but it felt like it limited itself from going further for the ideas that they're trying to do. So